Hey, welcome back to the Branding for Abundance podcast. This is Dr. TK, clinical psychologist and #1 therapist business coach. So in today's episode, I want to talk about 7 things that mental health therapists can delegate in their business so that you can improve productivity, also focus on CEO activities, and of course, free up that time so that you can live life abundantly. So let's go ahead and jump in. So number 1 is that you want to focus on letting people screen your calls. And so let's just say if you have a private practice and you get phone calls or you get emails, why is it that you are screening your own phone calls? Could you hire someone or train someone? It can be a psychology student. It can be a CNA or an LVN nurse. And the reason why I am bringing up these titles is because having a individual and success group practice, those are the classifications of individuals that I chose to hire specifically because they were already very familiar with the psychology field. And so number 1, again, is that you can hire someone to screen your calls. And of course, you want to make sure that you screen the person that you're going to hire to determine what type of training you need to give them in order for them to be equipped to ask the correct question to then maybe pass it off to yourself or to someone else to do a full-fledged consultation, if that's the case. Okay. So number 2 is you can get someone, or it can be the same person, to schedule your appointments. And so I know that this is taught in our Dope Therapist Academy, where we teach students how to automate their back office, but maybe you are not there yet. Okay. And so could you have that same person that you hired actually schedule the session with yourself and or someone else in your group practice, like another clinician or another student? Now, you may be wondering, okay, well, how are they supposed to do that? I typically schedule my own appointments because I know my own schedule. So I'm going to reframe that question and I'm going to put it back on you. Could you make sure that you update your schedule in your Google Calendar or your EHR calendar, give access to the person on your team so that they can actually look at your schedule maybe every single Monday so that they will know what spots you have available or open and which ones you do not. Okay, I hope that really makes sense. So number 3 is you can actually delegate your social media. So with social media, I am going to ask you to be very, very specific when you are hiring or seeking out resources or companies or individuals or a VA to hire for your social media. So some of the things you want to pay attention to is, will someone only manage your social media, meaning they will watch it, they will notify you if there are comments, which also means you have to determine how much access you're going to give them. Or are they going to be creating graphics and or content for your social media? Some people say, I will manage your social media, and you may assume they're going to create the graphics and the copy content under the photo or video, and they do not. You still have to do that. So you want to weigh or make a list of the things that you want covered in your social media in terms of delegating it out to someone else so that you know exactly what you are hiring for. Okay. Number 4 is billing. So with billing, again, this can be either automated in your EHR system where you put that the client paid their copay, that they showed up, you do their progress notes. Most EHRs, you can set it up where you can manually send them an invoice right after the session, or you can make it automated, meaning when their 1-hour session is over, it automatically sends them an invoice. Maybe it automatically bills the insurance. It is totally up to you, whichever your preference is. But again, these are things you can automate. Or if you maybe have a lot of billing that you need someone to physically look over and to make sure that the claims are received, if you bill insurance companies, you may actually have to outsource that out. But the question I have for you again with billing is that a CEO activity? So you may be wondering, what is a CEO activity? And I actually should have explained that in the beginning. So a CEO activity is any task or intentional thing that you are doing in your business that will increase revenue. So on the one hand, yes, billing will increase revenue because we have to make sure that the billing is being collected. However, if you outsource that, and let's just say you were paying someone $15, $25 an hour, but you make $150 an hour, that's an awesome delegation because you're freeing up time either to have more time to yourself, to your family, self-care, or you can go and see another client versus sitting behind a computer and actually doing all the billing. So another thing you can do in terms of number 5 is you can hire a personal assistant. So when I say hire any of these team members, it doesn't have to be full time. It can be one person that has multiple gifts and they can do all of these things, or you can hire different people and maybe someone starts off with 2 to 5 hours a week. So what does a personal assistant do? Maybe they help you make Amazon orders online. They order supplies for your office. They help you pay your bills. They run errands. They do things for you, not just on the business side, but maybe also on the personal side. Because again, if our personal life is not in order, odds are our business life will not be in order as well. And a lot of times we consume a lot of minutes and hours cleaning up our household, doing the laundry, folding the laundry, cleaning up multiple bathrooms. And so you may want to ask yourself, how can I free up more time if I were to hire someone who can also help me with some personal tasks? So number 6 is maybe you want to delegate editing your work. And so for myself, I am a college professor. I also am a business coach alongside of being a clinical psychologist. And so outside of my practice, some of the things that I've delegated out is when I have to input my students' grades, or maybe my students took a quiz online, it automatically generates their scores. But my assistant, my VA, can go in and plug their scores into a grade book. Maybe my assistant can actually, or my VA can look at my students' grades every 2 weeks and let me know who's falling behind collectively based off of all the work that they've turned in. An assistant can also help with in terms of editing work. Maybe I need someone to overlook my slides because I do business coaching and I usually present with presentations alongside of allowing my students to do Q&A. Is I want to make sure that there's no spelling errors. There's been plenty of times that I reviewed my own work, but something happens with your eyes when you actually review your own work. So many times you don't catch all of the small grammatical errors. And so you want to be able to delegate the editing process off to see also how your slides flow. Are there too many slides? Did you repeat some slides? Did you forget a slide? Did you forget to spell out a particular word on a slide? So you again can edit your work and delegate it out. And then lastly is number 7, which is bookkeeping. And so what you don't measure will not grow. You have to watch your money. You should not wait until the end of the year when your tax person says, can I please have all of your Excel sheets or your profit and loss statements? And you either A, don't know what a profit and loss statement is, or you have not been keeping up because you believed that because maybe you have a business part-time, a private practice with 5 clients a week, you didn't think it was a big deal to keep up with these numbers every single month. If you know that this is asking too much of you, then you can either delegate this out to a system, which is QuickBooks, and I'll make sure to put the link in the show notes, or you can actually outsource it out to a person. Now, for myself, and again, I'm not a tax professional, but one of the things that I did is I first did the bookkeeping on my own, and I just used Simple Start through QuickBooks. It was very affordable for my W-9 sole proprietor business. And then even as I grew into a group practice, I was still doing QuickBooks. I then chose to delegate it when I realized it was taking too much of my time. Okay. So as a recap, I've given you 7 things that you can delegate off your plate. Now, before we wrap up, I want to give you some things, what I call rules of thumb, for you to determine, again, how quickly you need to get these things off your plate. And more importantly, how do you decide or prioritize which things need to get off your plate first? And so the first thing I would like you to do is pull out a sheet of paper and write down all of the business and personal tasks. It may be 2 different columns of things that you do on a daily basis, like a recurring task, what you do weekly, because some things may not happen every day. And then what do you do infrequently, like monthly? Maybe you do your bookkeeping quarterly. Maybe you do some things annually. And so you want to write down as much as possible, especially the recurring task, every single day and every single week. Then after you write this list, you want to ask yourself, how much time am I spending on all of these tasks? What you will start to recognize is that something that you may say out loud that sounds like, I don't need to hire someone because it only takes me 5 minutes to do. Well, guess what? If you're spending 5 minutes on 5 different tasks, 5 to 7 days a week, depending on your self-care regimen, meaning do you really take time off? That does add up to you leaving money on the table. And leaving money on the table is specifically speaking to, you could hire someone for $15 an hour or whatever the price may be based off of their gift and their level of expertise for you to then go out and make 3 figures when you are spending 2 figures to hire someone probably for tasks that you don't like to do anyway. So again, you're going to write all these tasks down. Then you're going to identify how much time you're spending. And what I would really like you to do as the third tip is add up all of these minutes or hours and then times each hour by whatever your hourly rate is. And that's how much money you are leaving on the table. So I really hope that you've enjoyed this podcast episode. Please make sure that you follow me on my podcast at Dr. TK. Also, make sure that you subscribe to my YouTube channel. My goal here is to make sure that I am providing enough business and lifestyle education to mental health professionals all over the country, all over the globe, so that you can live life abundantly and you deserve the best of both worlds. If you want to learn more about having a profitable private practice, then please make sure to get on our wait list for the Dope Therapist Academy, where we teach you how to create a 5-year blueprint so that you can have a map for your business. You can identify who your ideal client is so that you can truly serve the people that you love. You can automate your back office so that you can get your time back. You can identify your niche so that in the future, once your private practice generates profits, you can start building streams of income. And then lastly, we teach you how to delegate tasks similar to what we did today, but we do dive deeper so that you can honestly focus on those CEO activities, gain your time back, and live abundantly. I will see you in the next podcast episode. Bye.